Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. That was an impressive win for the 76ers, and I'm fully aware that Jason Tatum was unavailable, and if you act like that doesn't matter, well, that's silly, right? I mean, this guy changes what they can run offensively. It changes what they can do defensively, so it's a significant loss for them. Also, Kemba Walker is returning from a recent injury, so he was on a minute restriction. You saw that he could be productive. Then he was doing some band work on the sidelines, and when he returned, he wasn't in the same rhythm. You could make the argument, though, that the Sixers defense picked up during that stretch of the game. So there's a correlation with Kemba's struggles and the Sixers locking down and really putting the clamps down. I can get behind that for real. I can absolutely support that. Seth Curry was unavailable for the Sixers. Is that a wash? No, I don't think so, but to act as if that doesn't matter, well, that's not fair either. Joel Embiid has even more space when he's on the floor. Ben Simmons has more space too, and who knows? Is Seth Curry the difference in Ben being able to attack the rim because teams need to defend Seth Curry and defend Danny Green, and because there's so much spacing that opens up the lanes more? In theory, maybe. Do I think that's going to be the difference in Ben adding this offensive game that we're all frustrated about? No. Just no. And I'll get to Ben Simmons. I just think there's so much more to talk about in this game specifically over Ben. Long term, Ben is clearly a bigger concern. But in terms of tonight, let me respect the guys that I think deserve to be discussed. Real quick on Seth Curry, though. I thought the messaging behind him not playing was so odd. They said they want to make sure that he's at a good conditioning level. Call me crazy, but getting the guy run in an NBA game is probably his best bet. And I'm not claiming that this guy needs to go out there and log 40 or 35 minutes. But 15 to 20? What are you going to do? Work him out when the team isn't practicing? Work him out on the side and have him run suicides? It's not as if these teams practice during NBA season. That's not how this works. You're on the road. You're playing games. You don't have practice time. So you're just going to have him run when the team's not playing? I don't understand. Get the guy out there and have him play. Am I missing something? Maybe I'm the asshole here, but I don't see the connection. By the way, we are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. They have the Lawnmower 3.0, which is the best razor in the market. Their new Weed Whacker, which is their ear and nose hair trimmer. They have anti-chafing boxers, which I'm wearing right now, and it's so tremendous. They have ball toner, ball deodorant, the preserver ball crop kit, you name it. They have everything to make sure that below the belt, it's groomed properly. And if you're sharing that special moment with your significant other, you want to make sure that it is crisp and clean and smooth. It will impact the way things go down. So once again, 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. It is a no-brainer. All right, so let's get into Joel Embiid's night. 42 points, so explosive, getting to the free throw line 21 times, which is more times than the Celtics did all game long. All game long. And I talked about what the Sixers did defensively throughout that late stretch. In the fourth quarter, the Celtics only scored 17 points. The Sixers countered that with 31. So that's really impressive. But back to Joel Embiid. He had more free throws than the entire team of the Boston Celtics. Now, you can make an argument that that's a flaw in how the referees decided to call the game. Well, you got to remember that the Sixers run their offense through a post player. That's naturally going to get you more free throws. Did I think it was a little absurd at times? Yeah, I do think that Joel Embiid gets calls that might not be 100% deserved. One that comes to my head is in the fourth, Tristan Thompson had his hand in the mix when Joel Embiid and a couple other Celtics players had the ball somewhat all tied up by the free throw line, and they called a foul on Tristan Thompson when it could have been a jump ball. There's plenty of moments where he gets the benefit of the doubt. My response to that is, welcome to the NBA. Sadly, this is how it goes. LeBron gets calls. Kevin Durant gets calls. When you become more of a known player, you get calls. 45-20 in free throw disparity. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but unfortunately for Celtics fans, that's how this game specifically played out. I'm just looking at the fact that Embiid knocked down 17 of those 21, and that's so valuable to me. I can make the argument that he probably could have done a better job, and if you asked him, he would say the same damn thing. Not that I expect him to knock down 100%, 21 of 21, but there were a few of those where Joel Embiid normally knocks those in, right? Like it spins around and it falls out, and you can see his reaction. I'm not knocking the guy. I'm just saying, like, that's how damn good he is at the free throw line that you could really look at that and go, hold on, Joel, could you have done even a better job? Which is wild. But when you look at his all-around game, he has added in so many elements. And it starts up here. It starts with the knowledge of the game and the smarts of the game. And every year I go through the learning curve with these players. What do? They lose, they learn from it, they see what teams are doing to them, they work on their craft in the offseason, and then they come back a different version of themselves. So Joel Embiid, a player who played the game super late to start. We know his background, we know his story. It's not as if the guy has been playing basketball since the age of 5 like some do, and then they're just naturally gifted NBA players. No, Joel Embiid just learned the game. So he had so much to take in, and he needed all this data and all this information to really apply to what he was going to be doing in the offseason. Well, you are now seeing that really impact who he is on the floor. He has dialed in, and he has really found his craft in many areas. This swing through that he has learned, you might not like that gets him to the charity stripe, but that's a rule. If he feels when he's facing up a defender, if he feels that his hand is in the mix and in the cookie jar, he's going to do the swing. That's the right thing to do. That is the proper play. You might not like it. It's similar to the James Harden stuff, where James Harden throws his head back and he throws his hands up and the ball goes flying and the whistle goes and he walks himself right to where he needs to make sure he gets the free throws, right? That's what James Harden does and nobody likes it. It's the rules. It's the rules. And Joel Embiid, when he's facing up a defender, he's able to do it. And his post play. Did you see what he was able to do to these guys in the post? You can see him battling down low and utilizing his body to get to his comfort spots on the floor and to work himself into an area where he's closer to the basket, where he can utilize those Olajuwon foot speed skill set thing. You know what I'm saying? It's Olajuwon footwork. It's outrageous. Tice couldn't stand a chance. Tristan Thompson couldn't stand a chance. I watched him back down a defender with ease at a professional rate, in a professional way. He used to be out of control. He used to not really know how to use his body. There's a way to properly do it. There's a way to back yourself up towards the basket and do it in an effective way. He never knew how to do that. Also, he gets up the floor and establishes where he wants to be. Whatever the Celtics wanted to do, Joel Embiid had a counter. There were times where they threw the double team at him. What did he do? He literally picked up the dribble, he turned around, and from one side of the three-point line, he threw a pass like a soccer pass over his head all the way to Danny Green on the other side. Great vision. And oh, by the way, he cashed it in for 3. So the Celtics tried to give you a couple different looks. They tried to have Joel Embiid have his way, but limit his way kind of concept. And it did not work for Brad Stevens. And I think you're going to see an adjustment when they play again on Friday because it was way too easy and he was able to take control. And I love that, though. I love that. Give me the ball. I am the man. I am the guy. I am the MVP. He used to say that, but it would never really correlate to action. It is correlating to more action than we ever have before. Let's be clear, though. He has had a 9-point performance this year. He has had a 14-point performance this year. So I want to see how sustainable this is. And 42 points, I'm not demanding that by any means. But this type of dominance, is this something you get night in and night out? Do you get this 3 out of every 4 games? How long can he do it for? Conditioning has always been a concern for his body structure. Now, I think he has clearly taken the next step in that area. When I had Mark Zumoff on, and if you didn't check out that podcast, that interview, you should absolutely do it. It was awesome. I asked Mark Zumoff about Joel Embiid and his growth, and he said, look, I haven't seen Joel Embiid in this type of shape since he has gotten here. He's constantly giving you that 35-minute per game, and he has a shift that he works with where he's eating properly, and his diet is so magnified, and he's so focused on that, and that's the little things that makes you a better player or not. You know, I know this is ridiculous maybe to some, but LeBron James, and I'm not saying that Embiid is LeBron James, that's why I made that statement, but he spends how much money on his body? $1 million? Well, there's a reason why the longevity is where it's at. Tom Brady, he spends how much on his body, and he properly prepares his body in what way? Yeah, there's a reason why he's still this dominant. Well, with Joel Embiid, I think that you really start to see all the things that he's doing off the floor and the preparation with his body and with his mentality, and that's relating to how he is able to seriously demand the rock and then execute with the rock. And all of his game from across the board took a notch in the right direction. I watched this team play, and my excitement level for Joel Embiid has never been this high. And that's saying a lot because he's always been at the top of the list. Who tunes into the Sixers and goes, yeah, you know who I want to see tonight? Isaiah Joe. And that's no knock on Isaiah, but no one turns on the TV and goes, I want to see Furkan Korkmaz, even if he is giving you a reverse dunk, which was absurd, by the way. Hey, look, I'll give him a nice little golf clap. He still stinks. At the end of the day, I still think he blows, but I'll give him a nice golf clap. I saw his face afterwards, and I truly believe that he was stunned, as if he thought to himself, holy shit, did I do that? Well, let me play this off. Give a little shoulder shrug, right? Like a little shoulder roll, like a cocky, confident thing. He was airborne, and when he got up, it was almost as if he saw a ghost. Yeah, the whole world was shocked too, Furkan. But going back to my point with Joel Embiid, the fact that I'm this excited and this motivated and this stoked to watch him play, he was already that player that got everybody juiced up and energized to watch. And now you're telling me it's multiplied by this? He has the killer mentality now. A legit one. Damn! I question entering the season, who was going to be that guy when he needed it? Who was going to step up? I never thought that Joel Embiid would be able to do it to this level. And he's done it a handful of times this year where, you know, I'm really impressed. But I want to continue to see it. If he continues to be this way, I still think this team has a cap. But if I'm looking big picture here, you know, over the next handful of seasons with Danny Green and Ferguson coming off the books and that freeing up space and maybe the possibility of trading Ben Simmons, who knows? You have your guy, though. I always wanted Ben Simmons to be the guy. Doesn't look like he will be. So, all right, Joel Embiid, take that step. And he has. I've always been nervous about the center being your best guy. Can you win if it's your best guy? Well, if he's knocking down mid-range jumpers. And another thing, when he gets fouled, he's still making the damn bucket. It's not as if he gets fouled and he's missing all the buckets and then it's only a 2-point possession. It's like constantly going in. So he's getting a 3-point play. The touch is insane. I'm in love. I'm in love with this new Joel Embiid. Awesome. But look, there were moments for a lot of guys. I mentioned the reverse for Furkan. That's what he gets. That's the nod he gets from me. Shake Milton in the fourth quarter. Look, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were out of the game in that fourth quarter, and that's where the Sixers kind of made that push early for fourth quarter. Shake Milton and Tobias Harris as a duo were able to get back into things, were able to tie it up, were able to spark that team to get going. Early in the game, first quarter, it was Embiid and Tobias. They had 23 of the 32 points in the first quarter, so it's kind of funny that they started out the game red hot, and then those two finished the game red hot, but I got to give Shake a lot of credit because he was someone with that second unit that was able to really energize that team, and he's very smart with the basketball and made some good plays. Dwight Howard had moments of grabbing offensive rebounds and getting some putbacks. Danny Green hit 4 threes. Matisse Thybulle had a bunch of steals, and he had a block in the mix as well. The only guy that, and it's weird to say this, that didn't make that much of an impact was Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey had his first game where you looked at him afterwards and said, okay, rookie night. Okay, he has to learn from this one. And can we correlate this with Boston being more of a playoff team than some of the teams he played against to this point? And I think Tyrese Maxey is going to be a stud. So I'm not downplaying what he can become and what he can do and what he has shown us. But this is a different team, right? This is a real NBA playoff team. I think they're missing pieces. Even with Jason Tatum and a healthy Kemba Walker, I still think this Boston Celtics team lacks what they truly need, but they're still an upper echelon Eastern Conference team, and Tyrese Maxey had a really tough night at the office. Is that because the matchup for him is, all right, now he got exposed a bit. You know, you can do certain things against the Hornets, and you can do certain things against some of these other teams they played early on. And I hope he bounces back and shuts me the hell up and has a strong game on Friday. And I think he can, but I'm just asking the question, that's all. Ben Simmons. Did he play great defensively late? He had strong moments late. You can't pretend that doesn't matter. It mattered. He made crucial defensive plays late. That's not enough for me, though, to be satisfied and to be all woohoo about Ben Simmons. He had 5 personal fouls, 2 offensive fouls within 26 seconds because he has no offensive game. Guys slide in, and you don't have a floater game. You don't have touch off the glass. You don't have any feel around the basket. You're just charging at guys with full-blown speed, not recognizing what you're doing. That can't happen. When you look at his turnover numbers to this point, it's putrid. It's unacceptable. It can't happen. So while I'm acknowledging that Ben Simmons had strong moments defensively towards the end of the game, which helped them close out the game, I'm not acting as if that's not important. But I'm not going to be satisfied out of one of my star players, quote unquote star players, who's getting paid that much money for a couple stops late, when throughout the game he needs to be flat out better all around. He is not being aggressive enough. Smartly aggressive enough, I should say. There's times where he's aggressive. He's just bulldozing over defenders. That's not what I'm talking about. Look at his field goal attempts. Why are they so low? I relate this to what Carson Wentz went through. His mechanics, Carson Wentz's mechanics, went off the rails this year. Well, because Doc Rivers is telling Ben Simmons to just go play and go be you, he's getting back into his flaws. Picking up his dribble, leaving his feet, trying to find guys to kick it out to. Those are all problems. And I don't think Doc Rivers is doing a good job at that. It's almost like he's allowing him to go back into these brutal moments that he was at with one point with Brett Brown. Like, Brett Brown kind of got Ben Simmons out of that. There were times where he would do it because naturally when Ben gets into certain pickles out there, he does it. That's what his natural reaction is. But I thought towards the end of Brett Brown, Brett limited that out of Ben. Drilled it into his head. Doc is almost giving him the freedom to run around and do whatever he wants, and it's really hurting him. Also, speaking about Brett Brown and Doc Rivers, Doc mentioned this. You might look into some double posts. Ben Simmons in the post. Let's do some more double posts. Really? There's a lot of screenshots that people did not like of some double posts going on when Brett was here. I just think it's kind of funny that this head coach is mentioning maybe doing some double post-ups. I'm not screaming that I like that. I think Ben Simmons' post-up back to the basket sucks because he has no feel of the game offensively. But who am I? I don't want to see that whatsoever. Ew. Just ew. All right, why don't I let you guys know about my friends over at... The return we've all been waiting for is finally here. UFC's most notorious icon is stepping back into the octagon this Saturday. Be sure to check out DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, for a shot to turn $1 into $257. That's right, new users can bet $1 on McGregor to win by knockout in the first round. And if he does, you'll be cashing in $257. Bet a little, win a lot. It's that simple. While we're all excited for this weekend's premier UFC fight, let's not forget football is in the midst of their playoffs. Head to the app now and check out their great promotions. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $257 if McGregor wins by first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code Brodes for new players to get $257 if McGregor wins by first-round knockout for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Mentor's Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That second quarter at one point, the Sixers did not score a field goal for 6 minutes. That's terrible. The free throws were the only thing keeping them involved. How can you possibly go through half of a quarter without a field goal? It was abysmal. I don't understand it. Their offense goes from Joel Embiid saving the day and being something that flows to, wow, what is this nonsense? How are they this incapable of moving the basketball? It's gross, really. Really? Really? And defensively at times. Really? Really? Why is this what you get? It's so irritating. One thing on Ben before we get to the anytime hotline calls. He got to the free throw line. Knocked down 7 to 10, I believe he finished with. What do I do with that? Is that something that should satisfy me enough? I told you, I cracked with Ben. Something that used to excite me, like, hey, better free throws, no longer excites me. Because I think this is what he is. And I don't think it's good enough. I think he's holding this team back. Mike Gill of the Sports Bash, we had a debate on 97.3 today because, he believes that the Sixers found Rodman. So, Embiid is MJ. Rodman is Ben Simmons. You got to go find the Scottie Pippen. My argument is, well, one, Dennis Rodman wasn't carrying the ball up, so that's a huge difference in the spacing side of things. The flaw of Ben Simmons crucifies you more. If Dennis Rodman was carrying your ball up and he was your primary ball handler, well, that's a different story. That wasn't the case. So that's one. And two, the only way you get your Scottie Pippen is if you have to give up Ben Simmons. So it doesn't make sense, and you're paying Ben Simmons a significant amount of money. I don't think it's the same. That's me personally. I just do not think it's the same. All right, let's take some of these anytime hotline calls. Here we go.
Going on, Brodes? Man, Joel Embiid, just what another great game from him. And so I live in the Boston area, and I've been a Sixers fan my whole life. I just have a lot of people texting me right now saying, like, Joel Embiid, the refs sucked in that game because Embiid had 23 free throws. My take is, like, if he's drawing all these free throws, how can you blame him? And so he was awesome. And Ben Simmons was horrible. He looks terrible. This is about as close as I've ever been to wanting to trade him.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to the party. Join me. Join me, please, because it doesn't satisfy me enough that he had a couple of nice moments down the stretch. And I'm not going to downplay those as if, lockdown moments defending, he made plays. But it's not all around good enough. His flaws are going to be the downfall of this team more so than what he gave you at the end of this basketball game. It's just a flat-out reality, and it sucks. Yeah, the whole free throw thing, I think that it was bad at times, for real. I do, in terms of the referees calling some plays and calling some fouls and the Celtics being pissed off. Where I have the issue is Marcus Smart post-game bitching and complaining. Dude, you flop all the time. Dude, you're one of the worst when it comes to that. So who are you to be the one to really go to the media and voice your frustration that the referees weren't being fair? Seriously, with the way you play, with the way that you aggravate everyone, with the way that you flop, with the way that you sell all sorts of fouls every single night, you think you have the audacity to stand up there? You have the right, I should say. You think you have the right because clearly you have the audacity. You did it. You think you have the right to be the one to get all unhappy? Unreal. I can't buy that. I can't buy into that. Come on. Grow up, Marcus. Be a man. So you know what? Embiid worked the refs tonight. I respect that. We'll get him next time. Say something like that, Marcus. Fraud. I respect his game. I really do. I love what he plays with. I love the effort, and I love his style of play. It reminds me of what I do on the court. I just don't think I produce as much offensively. But it's crazy. Marcus Smart's one of those guys that when he plays the Sixers, he seems to rise to the occasion. And credit to him, that's what players do when they play their rivals. But like Marcus Smart's out here hitting fadeaway one-legged jumpers. Really? Is that who Marcus Smart is? Hell no. Seems like he does that when he plays the Sixers. And there's always that big center who finds a way to have a hell of a night when they play the Sixers, whether it was Baines in the past, now it's Tice. Here he is giving you 23 and 11. What is this? It's insane.
Hey, bros. Yeah, so that was a good win. Embiid had to go crazy, but, I mean, I don't see this team beating the Celtics in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to beat the Bucks. And I don't think they're going to beat the Nets. I mean, you barely beat them without Tatum playing, who's their best player, and with Kemba on a minutes restriction. But it was a good game. Embiid's the MVP. Ben Simmons has regressed so badly that it's ridiculous. Yep, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, this Ben Simmons thing is just comical to me at this point, right? I mean, it's frustrating comical. It's like gets to the point where you're in so much pain, you're in so much disgust, you're in so much agony that you have to laugh. You have to kind of soften the mood somehow, so it's laughing pain. And unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with now, and I can't believe that there's defenders out there at this point. I'll always defend how I felt through the first 4 years because 99.9% of players develop. Joel Embiid now is not what he was when he first came into the league. Zach LaVine now is not what he was when he first came into the league. James Harden now is not what he was when he first came into the league. He was a bench guy on OKC. These players all develop and they all grow and they all take the next step. But I honestly do believe that one of the reasons why he is failing to this point offensively is because Doc Rivers is allowing that to happen. You wanted to get on Brett Brown so much, and deservingly so for times, but Doc Rivers is not handling Ben Simmons well whatsoever. He's giving him too much freedom. Oh, Ben, you're just so fantastic at passing the ball. Just go do that. Just go find your open guys. And I'll always relate this to what Danny Green said when he was getting interviewed early when training camp first started happening. Oh, man, at times he is really passive. He was stunned with how passive he was. Because it's mind-blowing. And speaking of stunned, to tie that to Joel Embiid, the fact that I'm this stunned with what he does late down the stretch should really show you everything you need to know about his progression. Because we were fully aware of how talented he was, but he really has elevated to that give me the ball, this is my moment type of player. And I love it so much. I love Joel Embiid so much. I'm amazed in so many ways, with so many additions to his game, from the tiny little things, from knowing how to draw fouls, to utilizing his body to back up defenders, to his three-point shooting being better, to his face-up game of the mid-range. Everything. I do wonder, though, if because he's putting so much effort on the offensive side, will that limit what he's able to do defensively? Because, look, it's a lot to do it on both ends, and it takes a toll on your body. So will you see, is that why sometimes you see a lack of defense with this team? Because the rim protector has to do so much offensively. And if that's the case, you're going to have to give up a little to get a little. So I'm okay with it, but I think it's reasonable to kind of look at it with that mindset and raise the question, is that the reason?
My man, what's up? Just started listening and watching your sports talk time. What a good time it is, too. Good win overall. Scrappy win. I still hate Marcus Smart. I can't stand him. Much respect. Ben's looking a little bit better. I know we're still holding out hope. At least some of us are. Loved what you did with Mark Zumoff. Good stuff. Loved what Joel Embiid did tonight, just dominating. Tobias Harris looking good like a Clipper. All right, man. Hope all is well. Happy 2021. Stay safe. And, cheers to you.
Thank you so much for the love and support. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, Tobias Harris. I thought he was so strong in the first quarter. I thought he had strong moments in that fourth quarter when he needed help. When Joel Embiid needed help, he got the help from Tobias. Now, we all anticipated that would be Ben Simmons to this point. But look, Tobias Harris, over the last handful of games, he went through stretches where it wasn't pretty in those same games. But in the fourth quarter, when you needed to get a bucket, when you had a mismatch, he was able to take advantage of it and get close to the bucket and use the window and get those 2 points. So Tobias has been someone that you have been able to lean on, so it hasn't didn't have to be Embiid every single possession because it's not always going to work that way. There's going to be times where you're going to have to rely on someone else, and it seems to be Tobias Harris, and that's fine. Like, I don't give a damn who it is as long as it's somebody, because I don't think it's going to be sustainable where every single possession it's Embiid. It's just not going to work that way. So who else will it be? Sometimes it's going to be Shake Milton. Sometimes it's going to be Tobias Harris. Tonight it was Tobias Harris. Like, who's it going to be? It's never going to be Ben, though. It's never going to be Ben, though. One more time. It's never going to be Ben, though. All right, let me fix these headphones real quick, though. It's wrapped around my microphone. It's pulling my head down towards the desk. Feeling like I'm getting a migraine. Give me a sec. All right, my apologies. Here we go.
Oh my God, Ben Simmons. What is he even doing on the floor anymore? I don't even know anymore. Just get him off the team. Please, Brodes. Get him off the team. Loyal fan. You're doing great. Please give me a Ben Simmons rant. Oh my God. 11 points and it was, please.
11, 8, and 8 to be exact with Ben Simmons. And like, this is why I wanted to push the Ben Simmons stuff off towards the end, because I felt like I'm doing this team a disservice. I want to give the respect and pay my dues to the guys who I thought made an impact to this victory. You had a great performance by Joel Embiid, and people are calling in about Ben Simmons. And I think it's valid, too. I don't look at that as, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You should only appreciate the good. No, because the one bad that's constantly a bad with this team is going to be one of the reasons why you are not able to take that next step as a squad. As one of the previous callers mentioned, when you look at this team, they don't feel like they can beat the Celtics. You were barely able to squeak one out when they didn't have Tatum and Kemba Walker was on a minute restriction. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that this team lacks NBA title type talent, but it's kind of ironic to me because I was informed the biggest problem with this team was the coach. They fixed that, yet they're in the same area as they always have been. It's almost as if that tells people the biggest problem was more the roster and the team more than it was the head coach. And that's not to say that they didn't need a change at that position, because they absolutely did. They absolutely did, and everybody was aware of that. But I was told the biggest issue was the head coach. No. The biggest issue was the players. You're seeing Joel Embiid take the step. You're seeing Ben Simmons not. And I think a big part of that is the lack of accountability that Doc seems to be giving Ben Simmons. How about that? You like that? How about that? Yeah, I'll throw that right back at you. Damn right I will. If you think it's that strong, the head coach's message is that strong, well, guess what? This head coach, not even close. Not even close when it comes to Ben at getting the most out of him. And that's not to say Doc Rivers is a bad coach by any means. I think that just proves, when you look at it from my perspective, it's on the players. All right, this player is unwilling. Well, at that point, it doesn't matter if Joe, Dick, or Harry's the head coach. It's on the player. If Joel Embiid didn't elevate his mentality, guess what? We're not talking about him in this way. It was on Joel Embiid to properly assess his skill set and his mentality, and that's why you're getting what you're getting out of Joel Embiid, because of Joel Embiid. He was able to recognize what he could do if he put his mind to the test and if he put his body through the proper development. And here we go. We're starting to get a beautiful version of Joel Embiid.
Yo, what's up, Brodes? Joel Embiid, just insane. In my opinion, he's the league MVP right now. He's just elevating this team to extremely high levels. And I can't wait to see him and Seth Curry back on the court, because I think those two can be really good together. Ben Simmons, he was okay on defensively. He got into some foul trouble, though. Still want to see more of him. So, shout to him. He did knock down both those free throws. Tobias Harris, I'd say your average Tobias Harris and Danny Green game. So, Danny Green had some good hustle plays. All in all, just a solid win that was probably closer than it should have been, considering Celtics were short-handed. But, again, they executed pretty well in crunch time, and you got to be happy about that.
They did, and this team seemed to be taking a step in the right direction. Over the last years, they did struggle down the stretch in crucial moments for sure, but I think that just shows you the growth of Joel Embiid and his ability and his confidence in himself. Look, we're down 4 points. There's 3 minutes left. Let me get an isolation here and let me hit a mid-range jumper. Then I'll work myself back on the defensive end. Let's get another stop. Give me the basketball again. Let me get my establishment in the post. Here we go. Foul me. Go to the free throw line. Now it's a tie basketball game. Let's go get a stop. Let me protect the rim. Let's do it again. Give me the basketball. Let me hit a three. Here we go. Now we're up three. Let's get a stop. It's nonstop, and it all comes from within. It all comes from the insides of Joel Embiid. I love it. I'm in love right now. I just can't deny it. Last thing I'll touch on here. The game was on ESPN, and it was on NBC Sports Philadelphia. If you're not watching Mark Zumoff and Allah, I don't know what you're doing. This was your classic Allah game, though, that baffles me. All these fouls. Oh, how could they call that a foul? Oh, how could they call that a foul? When it comes to the 76ers getting hosed, yet how many times did that happen to the Boston Celtics and he doesn't say a peep? He's the worst when it comes to fouls, I'll be honest with you. All right, with over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, Orbit Energy empowers home to your solar experts. They help eliminate your electric bill completely. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. In addition, they make sure you receive all the state and federal incentives available when switching to solar. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It's all down below. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.